Chapter 11, A Kindergarten First Grade. The narrow hallway of James Earl Elementary felt like a gauntlet as Tamika Pullman made her way toward her assigned classroom. Her footsteps were slow, deliberate, though she tried to push down the growing nerves that threatened to overwhelm her. She had just been introduced to her colleagues by Dr. Valerie Daniels, and now the real work was beginning, her first day as a teacher's aide. The building buzzed with energy, with the faint sound of children's voices echoing through the halls, but all Tamika could focus on was what awaited her behind the door of classroom 4A. She paused at the door, taking a deep breath before stepping inside. The classroom was already alive with the chatter of young children, small bodies filled with boundless energy, their laughter spilling into the room like sunlight. Tamika smiled nervously as she entered, her eyes scanning the organized chaos. Tiny desks were scattered in clusters, colorful drawings and posters adorned the walls, and the faint smell of crayons and glue lingered in the air. "Good morning," Tamika said softly, trying to project confidence despite the fluttering in her chest. "Is this Mrs. Brown's classroom?" A woman in her early 40s, with graying hair pulled into a neat bun, looked up from a group of children she was guiding toward their seats. Her eyes lit up, a warm smile breaking across her face. "Yes, it is," she replied, walking toward Tamika with an outstretched hand. "You must be Tamika, the new teacher's aide I've been expecting. It's so nice to finally meet you." Tamika shook her hand, feeling a wave of relief wash over her. "Nice to meet you too, Mrs. Brown. I'm really happy to be here." The two exchanged pleasantries, but there was a nervous energy in the air as Tamika glanced around at the bustling classroom. The children were loud, excited, and already beginning to test the boundaries, their voices blending into a cacophony of laughter and chatter. Mrs. Brown, though clearly used to the chaos, juggled the tasks of calming the students while engaging in conversation with Tamika. "I see you found the class just fine," Mrs. Brown said, glancing over her shoulder as a small boy tugged on her sleeve. "I'm so glad to have some extra help this year. It's going to be, well, let's just say it's always an adventure with these little ones." Tamika laughed nervously, nodding as she scanned the room again. Children were everywhere, some still getting settled at their desks, others rummaging through their backpacks, and a few already engrossed in conversation with their new classmates. "I'm happy to help," Tamika said, her voice soft but genuine. "It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun." Mrs. Brown gave her a knowing look. "Fun, yes. But also a lot of work. These kids, they can be a handful, but they're full of surprises. You'll see soon enough." As the children slowly began to settle down, the room quieted, leaving only the soft rustling of papers and the faint shuffling of feet as the last few students took their seats. The moment felt surreal to Tamika, standing here, in the middle of a classroom, surrounded by young, curious faces, knowing that she was about to embark on the same path her mother had walked. A surge of pride swelled in her chest, though it was tempered by the ever-present doubt lingering in the back of her mind. Could she really do this? Could she live up to her mother's legacy? Just as Tamika began to feel the weight of the day pressing down on her, a sharp, distinct bell echoed through the hallways, signaling the official start of the school day. The sound seemed to snap the classroom into focus, and for the first time since she had arrived, Tamika felt a sense of calm settle over her. "All right, let's get started," Mrs. Brown said, clapping her hands together to get the children's attention. "Everyone, please take your seats and get ready. We've got a big day ahead of us." As Mrs. Brown moved to the front of the room, Tamika followed, quietly observing the young students as they settled into their seats, their eyes wide with anticipation. This was it. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the chance to make a difference, to guide these children as her mother had guided so many before them. But just down the hall, a different conversation was taking place. Chapter ended.